After handcuffing Alan, the officer tries to justify the use of force by pointing to Alan's demeanor. But that's not a legal justification, that's a subjective excuse to escalate. Alan wasn't resisting. He wasn't threatening. He wasn't violent. He was vocal, yes, but vocal because his rights were being blatantly violated. Defending yourself passionately in the face of an unlawful stop doesn't make you a threat. It makes you informed, and that's the troubling part. Too often, officers confuse frustration with aggression. In this case, the officer essentially punished Alan for reacting emotionally to an unjust encounter. As if the only acceptable response to being wrongly detained is silent compliance, that mindset flips the burden upside down. Instead of officers being accountable for their actions, it's the citizen who's expected to stay calm while their rights are trampled. From the very start, Alan made it clear he wasn't going to provide his details, a right he's fully entitled to exercise when no valid grounds have been established. Yet here we see the officer circling back, asking again as if that refusal never happened. This isn't just redundant, it's tactical. Repeating the demand for ID, especially during an unlawful detention, is a pressure tactic. The goal is simple: wear the subject down until frustration or confusion forces compliance, and it reveals something deeper. Either the officer didn't listen to what Alan said, which is careless and unprofessional during a detention, or he did listen and chose to ignore it to push the encounter further. Either way, it shows exactly how some officers treat power, not as a responsibility, but as permission. The officer claims Alan was fidgeting in the shop and somehow spins that into a possible shoplifting attempt. But Alan immediately explains he was just putting on his mask. That explanation alone should have been enough to dismiss any suspicion, especially at a time when mask wearing is completely normal. Instead of accepting a reasonable explanation, the officer leans on perception over facts, saying, from our perception, it could be shoplifting. And that's the problem. Policing based on perception, not evidence. The moment the sergeant steps in and asks the officer to repeat his grounds, notice what happens. The whole asterisk "he was giving us evil's asterisk excuse" suddenly disappears. And why? Because even the officer knows how ridiculous that sounds in front of a ranking officer. Instead, he pivots to shaky behavioral cues, things like fidgeting or rapid breathing, trying to spin a picture of suspicion that just isn't there. But let's be clear, an elevated heart rate when you're being confronted and detained by police for no reason isn't suspicious. It's human nature. The fact that he dropped the evil's claim entirely shows he never had confidence in that reason to begin with. It wasn't a lawful ground, it was a weak grab for authority. And now, in front of his sergeant, he's scrambling to tidy it up and save face. Alan Norman was suddenly surrounded by officers who accused him of giving evils. An embarrassingly vague claim that triggered a chain of rights violations. Instead of articulating reasonable suspicion, officers leaned on flimsy justifications, saying he fidgeted in a shop, walked quickly, or breathed heavily. Behaviors any innocent person might display when being cornered by police without cause. Alan didn't just comply. He challenged them, calmly, firmly, and repeatedly asking for lawful grounds. They couldn't provide any. Yet they handcuffed him anyway, turning a baseless stop into a humiliating ordeal. City of London police later had no choice but to admit the truth. In an official apology, they acknowledged the search was not objectively reasonable. Alan was awarded £8,500 in compensation, a rare public recognition that his rights had been trampled. But before he ever received that payout, tragedy struck. Alan passed away from a heart attack. His case, however, became bigger than one man's fight. It stands as a stark reminder of the emotional toll these encounters take. Alan Norman wasn't an auditor, he was just an ordinary man with an extraordinary sense of justice. Unfairly treated, yet dignified in his resistance. He stood his ground, stayed principled, and pursued justice to the very end. Rest in peace, Alan. Your stand mattered, and your voice won't be forgotten. That's it for today's video. If you found this episode meaningful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me keep going with this independent coverage. And be sure to check out ***crimebodge***, linked below. Give his channel the support it deserves. Thanks for watching. This was ***rate the audit***, and I'll see you in the next one.